The collective efforts of movements and organizations like Now Our Future can lead to positive change in Cameroon, enabling young people to become driving forces behind Cameroon's development and progress. I sat down with Fabrice Lena, the executive leader of Now Our Future, for an interview. Thank you for accepting to be on Pulse of the Nation, Fabrice Lena, a dynamic youth leader in Cameroon, the executive leader of Now Our Future. Now Our Future is a youth-led citizen movement focused on bringing change in Cameroon. I want to thank you for welcoming us to your residence for this interview, sir.
Good morning to you, my brother friend, journalist Mr. Bo Evis, and to your viewers. It's my pleasure to have you here.
So, Fabrice Lena, Now Our Future, the name seems to be very good to hear in the ears. Can you tell us about the history of Now Our Future? What prompted you to come up with this movement?
Now Our Future is a movement that is regrouping young people across the 10 regions of Cameroon. Our principal focus is to mobilize on political education. Given that our country has a long history of voter apathy and non-participation of young people in the political process, we were so concerned and decided to come up with this movement and made one of its principles to be on political education, citizenship participation, and civic engagement, which started as far back as 2020, when I was still a senior member of a political party. But after my effective resignation, I held it as a responsibility to keep on giving out this civic education, political education to fellow young people. That is not only the principles of Now Our Future. We are also concerned with the generational leadership difference in the country. And that is why our focus is on young people, the youth, those in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, and those in the early 50s who can as well blend in the ideas and the realities of our country. We are also concerned about constitutional term limit in Cameroon. The office of the president, which is the highest office of the land, has, as it is now, 7 years office mandate. But we consider that this is very long. If a president wants to run Cameroon, 5 years is enough for you to draw the 5 years plan of action. And if you are able to gain another 5 years, then you have to step down at the end of that 5 years. So we are fighting, struggling for 5 years presidential office term renewable once. And we look at this in a federal structure, a system of governance that permits for resources to be distributed from bottom to top and for people to effectively own decision-making at the local level. These are some of the things that Now Our Future is fighting for. And we look at this in the hands of a visionary, transformational leader, someone who could set the pace and take Cameroon into the future under strict values like discipline, social justice, rule of law, conscience, and intrinsic goodness. Yes, people who are fundamentally good, their society are fine because they do things in respect of human values.
And Fabrice Lena, we've been seeing the work you are doing in the field, but just last week we heard and we saw the images of young people who gathered at the presidential palace in Yaoundé at the 2D to hand over the sum of 40 million francs CFA to President Paul Biya as support for him to pay his caution and be presidential candidate. Remember, President Paul Biya has been candidate for 43, he has been president for 43 years. He's 93 years old and still wants to run. When you look at those images and you look at the mindset of these young people, do you say that probably Now Our Future has not been effective in its sensitization campaigns?
Not at all, Mr. Bo. You know, there is a certain group of young people that have decided that the future we are fighting for is what they have chosen to mortgage. And if, as a young person, in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, you choose to say to fellow Cameroonians that a 93-year-old person is the one fit to manage the country, there is something wrong in your thought pattern. There is something wrong about the kind of interests you want to protect. Definitely it is self-interest. And this is what we are saying. Those who are fighting for their self-interest have destroyed this country. They have destroyed this country, and this has to stop. And that is why our future distance itself from those who take the name of youths to go and make political propaganda for selfish interests. The youth of Cameroon. What youths? We are effective on the ground. We have been doing voter registration campaign. We have been mobilizing young people on civic and political education. We have been taking the bold step to denounce acts of corruption. We have been taking the bold step to be at the forefront of struggles that put Cameroon in the limelight in the continent and beyond. We have taken the flag of the country as a movement around the world. We came out when the issue of exorbitant taxes came up, financial law, putting tax at every electronic activity, to say no. We did some social media campaigns. We have been doing this anyway. And since 2018 to 2025, for the past 7 years, which is the mandate of the end time, as we can put it, nothing has worked properly in this country. It has been mass immigration of young people through the Mediterranean, or those who are seeking visas to go and never return. It has been anguish. It has been hardship, economic hardship. It has been political crackdown. It has been, name them. The frustrations are enormous on the side of young people. But people cannot come at this point and say we are going to do this or support the candidate of the ruling party in the name of young people. No, I distance myself in that. Members of our future distance themselves in that. It is not in our name, and everyone should know that 2025 is the year for change, and we are looking for that consensual candidate that could carry the weight of the voices of Cameroonian youths.
I was talking to a senior official of the ruling party, in Cameroon, the CPDM, and he told me that being a young person is not a political program, and that based on our culture, which is the Bantu culture, young people should sit, listen, and take notes, and that the fact that someone is old does not disqualify the person from leadership positions, and instead puts the person, on a good footing to be able to rule because of wisdom acquired over the years. What's your reaction to that?
Mr. Bo, there is a Latin expression which says, errare humanum est, persevera diabolicum. To err when in leadership as human is normal. To persist in the errors is devilish because it is intentional. When you have been beaten once, we could consider that you are using the biblical interpretation, show the other jaw so that you get the second slap. But Cameroonians have been slapped on their face 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And he says that he wants to go for the 8th term. Man, it is shameful. It is not about youthfulness. It is not about putting the agenda of a young person as campaign. The various candidates in their 40s and 30s that I've seen and discussed with them for this presidential race in 2025 have something substantial to open something substantial to share to Cameroonians in terms of political order, in terms of governance, in terms of the economic proposals they are putting on the table, in terms of the social reforms, in terms of the question of cultural diversity and respect of language use in Cameroon. All of these young people, you interview them, they speak English so well, they speak French so well, they move around the country, they are flexible. Those are indicators of leadership. Those are indicators of people who can lead, who can govern. Not someone who has passed all his years neglecting addressing a certain age group. Not someone who has passed all his years neglecting speaking to a certain part of the country in the language that they study with, a language that they grow with, which is part and parcel of their existence. No.
So let me come in here, Fabrice Lena, to talk about the perception of the older generation leaders. We saw the declaration of candidacy by President Paul Biya, during which he said that he has decided to answer to the call of the people. Maybe, I don't know whether he might be having the same information that you have, or maybe he has his own information. He says he's heeding to the call of the people from 10 regions of Cameroon, and that his impact at the level of the country is laudable, visible, and visible, and applaudable. Do you agree with his reading of the situation in the country? Or do you think that he is just saying this because he wants to say it, or he has some information that you don't have at the level of the civil society?
Mr. Abu, do you think a 93 years old person will be using Facebook, Twitter, social media? It's laughable. Of course, it's not him. It's the handlers of the presidency. It's a team, the communication team of the presidency that come and held their strategic meeting. And that, man, in the past 2-3 months, we have been seeing the Secretary General of the presidency moving around the country. Have you seen the president being part of the crew moving around the country to talk to people? So when he says in an image, he's heeding to the call of the people, he's heeding to the call of his collaborators, selfish and greedy collaborators, who wants to maintain the status quo for their personal interests, to keep widening the gap between the citizens and the state.
But Fabrice Lena, you cannot deny the fact that President Paul Biya has fans. The fact that he has been leader for the 3 years, he has people.
Of course, those are people, you know that there are people who are driven by selfish interests. I'm not denying the fact that he has fans. The President of the Republic is not aware of certain and many things happening in this country at this point in time. His age, his physiognomy, his physiology. Man, the human body is a machine, and it passes through processes. And he's at the last stage of the usage of this machine. You don't expect the productivity, the effectivity, the effectiveness of his brain to grasp things to be like those of a younger generation person.
But Fabrice Lena, when you listen to those that are supporters of the president, they are going to tell you that the President of the Republic is apt. I'm talking about the supporters of the president, and they are going to give you examples. For example, on the 20th of May, you will see him stand for hours, and then after that, he spent about 3 hours on his feet, 3 to 4 hours standing, greeting the diplomatic corps and greeting all those that have come to commune with him at the presidency of the Republic.
Mr. Abu, that is not the measure of leadership. That is not the measure of leadership, and that should not be the measure of his fitness to govern Cameroonians. We are talking about political delivery. The country is on a political disorder. There is breakdown of law. The Northwest and Southwest still have the Anglophone crisis. The separatists are threatening people there that there will be no elections and there will be no activities there. People there are living on uncertainty about tomorrow, about what will happen next. He has been unable to fix this problem. The people in the extreme north region are turning their back today with ministers resigning because All the promises of the past 43 years have not worked and yield any concrete fruit that have impacted the life of people. On the economic front, we are facing economic hardship in Cameroon. Other countries in the CEMAC zone that we are using the same currency with them are doing far more better than us. What a shame for the economic hub of Central Africa sub-region. And you say he's fit to lead? Is it about fitness? It's about productivity, it's about delivery, it's about capacity to manage a population in a given territory and at a given time. He's not fit.
Another time,
Fabrice, he's not fit.
Another time, Fabrice,
he needs to go and rest.
Another time, Fabrice,
he should not abuse Cameroonians, Mr. Bo. He should not abuse Cameroonians. Enough is enough. President Paul Biya is violating his own human rights.
And after listening to all of these criticisms that are made by those who believe that President Paul Biya should not stand again, this morning he posted what he has said before, that despite all the criticisms you have against his leadership, President Paul Biya said this morning that, rest assured that my determination to serve you is commensurate with the serious challenges facing us. Which means that he has listened to your criticisms and he says that he is ready to serve you and of course ensure that the challenges facing us are resolved under his leadership.
Our country and the current leadership has never known what is called measuring impact of leadership. So they lead on propaganda, on empty promises, vague words, high-sounding statements that do not amount to anything impactful or concrete. I mean, ask search engines, Google, AI, and whatever, what impact of the leadership of President Paul Biya of Cameroon has been to Cameroon as a country or the world. You will see different classifications. Others say he's a dictator. Others say he's the worst leader. Others say he's the oldest and unproductive leader. Others say he's an absentee president. All these things is because of what people see. It's because of what people hear.
But he still has fans.
And people say he organized phony elections. The fans that he have are people who are wicked. They don't want the benefit of Cameroonians. You know, when there are some people that in human theory, in the philosophy of human existence, there are people who exist just for materialism. There are people who are just existing for the sake of food, for the sake of eating, for the sake of material wealth. Transformation is not a problem to them. And this translates to the kind of society we have. Look at the capital city of our country, Yaoundé. Is there any place in this country, in this capital, that you would drive without potholes? Yesterday, for us to go to town, it took us about 2 hours to drive a 3-kilometer journey because of bad roads. Is that the kind of political capital that you want to show to the world, and then you say that your leadership has been impactful, it has been demeaning so well, and you're ready to save again the people? God did not give the monopoly of the management of a country in the hands of a single person. Cameroonians, choose wisely in 2025, because if you are going to make the mistake again of mortgaging another 7 years of your lives to these people who are in power, be rest assured, some of us who have the voices to talk will not be defending you. Because you, the people of Cameroon, should and have to take your responsibilities.
Do you have the impression, Fabrice Lena, that President Paul Biya should not stand in the presidential election? Don't you think that as young people, the best way, if they feel that President Paul Biya is not apt to lead, is to face him in the presidential election and beat him on the ballot box?
He should first of all fix the problem inside his own party. We have Leon Taylor. I'm not the one who told Leon Taylor that he should challenge President Paul Biya. He's a CBDM councillor from Monatele. He challenged President Paul Biya and said, please, I consider your leadership illegal and your candidature illegal. He is preparing his documents to also go and submit. So the first contentieux pre-electoral will come from CBDM, where we are going to see 2 candidates in the same party presenting for the first time in history. That's to tell you how decadent the situation is. For a councillor in this political party that people don't challenge the natural candidate to come over and say, we are challenging you because we don't think you are apt, you're capable to lead. So already the fact that a militant and a councillor in the CBDM is challenging President Pobia, it's a call for concern. It's not what I'm saying, but they themselves are seeing the picture of it. And all these people who are supporting and calling it, it's by grudging compliance. The way things are done in this country is like people who are into some kind of brotherhood, and they have signed that if you leave this brotherhood, there are two things involved.
Do you really believe, Fabrice Lena, that young people will be the right answer Cameroon needs to be able to fast track its development?
I strongly believe so.
But
I strongly think that young people have to and can take their responsibilities into their hands, can defend our future, because our future. That is why we came up with the name Our Future, because we insist on the aspect of us being the architect of the future we want. We have been for a very long time told that we are the future leaders of tomorrow. Mr. Bo Elvis, in 2018, I was younger, removing 7 years from my age. I participated in the political process. In 2025, a young person that was 13 years old in 2018 is now 20 years old and capable to vote. Do you know what that means? A lot of young people are coming into the play, and we cannot afford that the base of the population of Cameroon, the highest percentage of those with whom the future lies, are the people that are least considered. But they are the people who, as I push the responsibility to take their destiny into their own hands, to fight, to stand up for their right. 2025 is no joke. And this is the threshold. This is the threshold. This is that point that you need to decide. You need to be upfront. You need to take your voter's card, go and cast for the right candidate. As a political movement, we are endorsing a candidate officially, and we are into that process. And you are all going to know, because we are going to do this campaign officially and open to everyone. And this is what everybody should do. You have to take a stance. You have to take a position. You have to, there is no neutrality in 2025. Don't come and cry later on. Don't come and cry after 2025. This is the moment where we have to make it as a people, or we'll sing. So we have to choose to make it.
So, Fabrice Lena, let's talk about what will really change if a young person takes over a position of responsibility in Cameroon. I don't want to cite other associations that we know where we have witnessed the leadership of young people, and most of the time, the young people still have to call up to the old guards to come and help solve problems in associations that are where young people are ruling, where we find anarchy, we find dictatorship, we find lack of consultation or consultation.
The problem about leadership is not the person. It's about the institution. It's about the institution. When the rules are strong, they are respected, the institutions are strengthened, they are democratized, and decision-making is consultative, the person comes and inserts itself into that institution and work according to the rules. Things are not the way they should be in Cameroon because our institutions are very weak and they turn around people. And Cameroonians fall into this trap because they themselves don't strengthen their institutions. Majority of political parties in Cameroon and political movements in Cameroon are run by individuals. And when these things are run by individuals, you don't expect the individuals to democratize decision making. And that's where the problem comes. But once it is a collective effort, once it is joint initiative, once the resources are garnered by everybody, decision making becomes collective. It becomes consultative, and rules become strengthened and strong. So if someone single-handedly sponsors a political party for 30 years without support from other people, considering our political environment, how do you expect such a person to relinquish power when the time comes? You can't blame them. They have put their life on hold to do that. And in Cameroon, to be a seasoned politician and be doing other professional activities is practically very difficult or even impossible. This is what Cameroonians need to know. You need to know the preamble of the Constitution of Cameroon. You need to know the rules that protect you. You need to know the electoral code. You need to know the labor code. You need to know your institutions. You need to know the actors of your institutions. You need to know all these things, the pros and cons. Do a SWOT analysis. The force and the weaknesses of all these things. It puts you in the position of information. It makes you to become an intelligence unit yourself. It makes you to be your own FBI. It makes you to know how to approach this institution and to talk with authority, because you know those elements and instruments of the law, regional law, national law, local law, and international law that gives you the right to say those things with authority. And you cannot be intimidated because you know your right.
And it is difficult to win an election in Cameroon if you don't have young people by your side. You either have young people by your side, either genuinely or by crook. And we know about electoral fraud, how many young people will be complaining about the situation of the country, but when it comes to voting, immediately receive a 2,000 francs, their mindset changes and they do what they're asked to do at a particular point in time. Do you think the message has been passed across this time around?
I mean, politicians of the opposition, youth movements, civil society organizations, and myself have been singing it over and over. Either we have to choose, like Thomas Sankara said, and I quote, champagne for a few or drinking water for all. Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, the former leader of Zambia, said, if for one moment I had chosen to cling onto power when I saw defeat coming, Zambia would have been in chaos, and we should never had experienced constitutional democracy. There is a moment in the life of a country where leaders have to do introspection and reflection, where the people also, the voters, the youth, the population, have to do introspection and reflection. If they give you 5,000 to sell a vote, how long will that 5,000 stay in your pocket? Even if it is 10,000, how long will it stay in your pocket? And after what? Is it worth the number of people who die in road accidents? Is it worth the number of quack doctors we have in hospital because of concours corruption? Is it worth the number of people who die in Mediterranean because they are frustrated and cannot find a place to be employed in our country? Is it worth the number of people who commit suicide because they feel like there is nothing else they have to do and offer again? The country is terrible. We should reflect. We should reflect. We should put our consciences, our mind, our body, and our existence into harmony, thereby doing the right thing. The right thing for us to do is to vote CPDM out of power and establish a new political order in Cameroon based on constitutional democracy, limited office mandate, Afro-socialism, in our own ownership of the resources that God gave us. Cameroon is blessed with human and material resources. We just need a transformational leader. Rwanda spoke to us. From 2000 to 2025, Rwanda is now the place where everybody wants to go and make conferences. Cameroonians are going there to do law. But someone had to come up to fix this country. Someone had to come up to fix this country. In 1999, a group of politicians had to sit together and say the coup had to stop in Nigeria, and it stopped. Nigeria started enjoying constitutional democracy with 8 years maximum for a leader. No matter how bad a leader is in Nigeria, they know that 8 years is the maximum. the person has to go. It's better to recycle politicians than maintain one. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Fabrice Lena, executive leader of Our Future Movement, we want to thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be guest on Pulse of the Nation on Media Prime Television.
It is always my pleasure to be part of your program because it's always insightful having exchanges with you, especially with your tough questions.
It is on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that we draw the curtains on today's edition of Pulse of the Nation, your news magazine program coming to you from the nation's political capital in Yaoundé. On behalf of the entire editorial team and our producer, Romian Gancha, I am Bo Elvis in Yaoundé, thanking you for watching. Have a wonderful weekend.
Femmes à l'œuvre, c'est parti. Dès le 15 mai 2025, retrouvez-nous pour votre émission télévisée Femmes à l'œuvre qui met en avant